Peace, my family, and we're all back to all those coming out of that good cocoon for the first time. Welcome. This your girl, the butterfly. We about to take off. Let's fly. Just want to send you all the good healing energy your way. Peace, love, happiness, harmony, and abundance. Hope you guys are out there keeping your mind right and that good mind. How y'all feeling? Hope you guys are most definitely moving on up in your higher natures and cleansing. Yeah, you know what stuff we gotta cleanse. Cleansing the lows. I came out here today to read, and this is Torah 1. This is Torah. This is Genesis, genes, and vices, right? And this right here will certainly help you on this good journey for the ones that are in religion and want to see the true meanings behind the scriptures, right? It's very important that you know. And the Most High wanted you to know these things, right? Because it's about knowing the truth. You must know the truth, and it will make you free, right? Remember, you also have to apply these things to your life, and your life will begin to shift and change for the better. So, remember that. Alright? Okay. So, it continues. Identity, Dagon, and it reads, the name Dog is the first part of the Philistine identity, Dagon, as found in Judges 16:23 and 1 Samuel's 5:2-4. The fishman. Another name for Dagon is Leviathan or Leviathan, as mentioned in Job 41:1, which describes the reptilian and how he is worshipped by the seed of Enosh. Also, this Leviathan, from the Aramic Hebrew meaning sea monster, dragon, from the root word laon, meaning to unite, to remain. Leviathan is mentioned in Psalms 104:26 and Psalm 74:14, where it speaks of breaking the head of Leviathan, which takes you back to Genesis 3:15, in reference to the serpent and his seed, and how the seed of Eve would bruise the serpent's head, as in breaking the head of Leviathan. And Isaiah 27:1 literally calls Leviathan the piercing serpent, and the word for serpent there is nakash, the same word as in Genesis 3:1 for the devil. These are the Luciferians, as mentioned in Isaiah 14:12, where it states, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, Hail, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, meaning the planet Earth, which doesn't weaken all nations. And verse 13 tells you how he wanted to be above the throne of the stars of El, which would be above all other Elohim or Anunnaki. This 13th verse is why the 13 is considered as a bad luck number to many. So as Genesis 1:26 declares that this man Adam is to be created in the image and after the likeness of the Elohim, is Homo sapiens or Adamites, because it uses the pronoun, and it said amongst each other, let the planet Earth bring forth the living spirits from itself, non-speaking mammals and reptiles also living on planet Earth, and this happened, right? And the Elohim Anunnaki made to evolve all the living animals that appeared on planet Earth and bred from themselves, and non-speaking mammals bred from themselves, and all the creeping things upon Adamah ground, planet Earth, bred from themselves. And the Elohim Anunnaki saw that things this way were agreeable. Alright? And notice from the quotes above when it speaks about the creation, and the Elohim Anunnaki saw that things were agreeable. But when it comes to the creation of earthlings, which are the Anamites, they did not say that it was agreeable. The Elohim Anunnaki said amongst themselves, now let's also breed by cloning people. Alulu Maunu, a Homo sapien of this planet Earth, Anamites, looking just like ourselves, Anunnaki, and acting like ourselves, and we will give them rulership over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the skies, over all of the non-speaking mammals, and all of the creeping things that creep upon the planet Earth. In the quote below, Genesis 1:27, the Elohim Anunnaki procreated human beings, procreated Homo sapiens, first called Nubians, then became Nubians of the Anamites from the Homo erectus, which had 6 ether hair, and the original Anunnaki with 9 ether hair to look like herself, using her divine seed. Ninti giving Nubians 9 ether and acting like herself. The Anunnaki procreated them into one they called Adam, called also Cadman or Zakar, who had 8 ether hair, and Nukeba called also or Eve, who had 9 ether. So in Genesis 1:27, when they speak about the cloning or the procreation of the Anamites, you know it was plural because the word used in Alton, meaning them, in plural, not dual. There's a point that is being ignored in the Torah, which refers to the human as the Adam, a common term defining a certain species, which is the Homo, the Latin meaning man, and sapien from the Latin meaning wise, which comes from the same word as seraphim and serpent, called the Anunnaki, the Lulum, which is ancient Syriac, meaning the foul, the ugly, deformed. This was grafted from cuneiform. And Anunum means to do work, also from the Syriac and the Arabic. Both words can be found in Aramaic, Hebrew as well, and was the cuneiform expression, Alulu Amun, the primitive worker, or the foul, ugly doer, a name given to the person Adam, which is Cadman, by the Elohim Anunnaki in Genesis 22:19. And the word Adam is being used as Ha-Adam in Aramaic Hebrew, but you know it is referring to Cadman because they used the tense he, which is a pronoun. Whereas in the beginning of the same quote it says, and out of the ground, and in the word used here is means of the ground or earthling, from the same root Adam. And Adam are the earthling as used in Genesis 1:20. It's used in Genesis 1:25, where it says, and everything that creepeth upon them, and it's a plural form, not singular, which shows that this is not talking about the Elohim fashioning cadmium. But again, I made note that it is in the plural form, using them, meaning the Adamites, the Lulumalu. And in Genesis 3:17, it's speaking about cadmium, where it says, and into Adam, which is cadmium and Zakar, he said, because thou hast hardened into the voice of my wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake, and in sorrow shalt thou eat of all of the days of your life. The important word being used is the thou has hardened, or thou wife. This is using the singular form. Thou is different than Genesis 1:27, which is using the plural form, them. So if you go to Genesis 5:1, you will see that the word being, or begin with, the word beginning with, this is the book of the genealogies of Adam, which is the Cadamites, in the day that the Elohim God recreated, falsely translated as created, Adam, falsely translated as man, which are Homo sapiens. Earthlings, in the likeness of the Elohim gods, made he him. This is made a direct differentiation between Canaanites, which were Adam's tribes, and the Homo sapiens, which was before them. And the Elohim, Anunnaki, Lundamud, or Inki, Israel, the one appointed for breeding, appointed the Elohim, Anunnaki, Ninti for procreating people, the Homo sapiens, Adam, the Adamites, from the Homo erectus to look like herself, using her own divine seed. Ninti, acting like herself. The Elohim, Anunnaki, procreated them into one they called Adam, Jakar, Eve. Okay, but this is how she, Ninti, procreated them of her own seed. Adam was the first, excuse me, Adam was the fifth Adam. Okay, Adam was the fifth Adam. The fifth replenishing, or the first of a new set of 4 cycles. He was told to breed and multiply and refill, called also Tamet, or the planet Earth, which is after the meteorite hits the planet Earth 2,250,000 years ago, which made the attempt to, or Tamet, Bahu, empty, and Tahu, desolate. Tamet, where the first Adam from the first moon cycle, or the silver cycle. The second Adam, where the Lahu, or the Lahu, they came from the first sun cycle. And the third were Anshar and Kishar, and they came from the second moon, or the silver cycle. And the fourth was Anu and Atum. They came from the second sun cycle. And the Elohim Anunnaki blessed them, and the Elohim Anunnaki said to them, so that they would have, or so said to them, they said to them, so that they would not have to be moved to the Homo Dapa, now called Zimbabwe, to work as slaves in the gold mines until they died, bred children, and multiplied and refilled the earth, the planet Earth, and kept it under control, and rule over the fish of the seas and the birds of the skies, and over all that lived and swam on the planet Earth. And the Elohim Kakwel, also called Nonoam and Nero, a seraphim who converted to a cherubim, said, "Here you have been given every herb with a yielding seed, which is on the surface of the whole planet Earth, and every tree which yields fruit and has its own seed to reproduce. All of this is for your food." Zachar and Nucaba were appointed as vegetarians, herbivores, not carnivores, flesh eaters that eat of the blood of other living creatures, but to maintain their olive they hew by the chlorophyll or the herbs being born copper red to purify into olive tone green. And every living animal and of the planet Earth, to every bird of the skies, to everything that swims upon the planet Earth, in which there is a living spirit, every green vegetation is for food. And this happened. And the Elohim Anunnaki saw all these things that were fashioned here, and it was all very to be agreeable here, and all to be agreeable for them. And it was thus period, and the new 6th day of 7,000 years was over. Alright? And then it goes on to say, in El Quran, chapter 39 and 54, where it ties in with Genesis 1:31-32, it states, after the 6 days of the creation, which is the 6 days of creation of the earthlings, time, not the Elohim Adonai time, but your Rab sustainer, who is in the Torah, would be a Yahshua or Allah, established himself on the throne. So according to Genesis 1:32, all of the heavenly hosts, living beings, were prepared or finished after the 6th day of the creation of earthlings time. According to Genesis 1:31, the host helping the Elohim Adonai with the creation of earthling was a Malachi or Anunnaki, angelic beings. So the skies and the planet Earth were prepared, and all of the hosts, living beings of both of them. Alright? So it still goes on to say, according to Genesis 1:33, on the 7th day, which was the end of the period of creation, the word used in this quote for the Elohim resting is, which means to rest or not rest, like in fatigue or sleep. This resting is when the Elohim left Earth to go through the Orion star constellation, or the Orion skies, back into Elohim, the heavenly abode, which took 3,600 years, which is called a unit in the Anunnaki's time. It will take 3,600 years to return back to Earth from Elohim, which is 3,600 plus 3,600, which equals to 7,200 years, and 7,000 years for the ending of the creation period, called the last day, and the extra 200 years from the 7,200 years is where the Elohim remained on earth after the expulsion of Cain, Adam and his family as Adamites on the enclosed garden into the outer world called Sauda. And Genesis 3:22 makes it clear that the man Cain had became like the Yahshua Elohim, having his own willpower to make decisions. The us being cherubs and seraphims there in Genesis 6:6. This Yahshua called Tammuz had to repent for being involved in the making of the human being that has become disagreeable like the cherub, showing that a Yahweh was still on earth up until that time, even after the invasion of Nephilims and the Yogabor. After this period of 200 years, they departed, and the mothership went back to Elyon, meaning place on high, as mentioned in El's Holy Quran 83:19, and the shuttlecrafts were still coming back and forth to earth. So when Genesis 1:33 speaks about the Elohim desolate, it is just saying that they finished the cloning and procreation of earthling and departed from the throne. And on the 7th days, the Elohim Enki, who also is called Nundaban or Israel of the Anunnaki, finished his duty which he had done, and he desolate and kept the seventh or the Sabbath and the 7th day for all of his duties which he had done. And it goes on to say, well, you know what? Yeah, it goes on to say the next heading is the first holy day. And it goes on to say, the Sabbath, the 7th day, which is the 49,000th year, was called Kodesh, holy, after the place of Kodesh known as Jerusalem. The cloning process of the Homo erectus to Homo sapien took 600 years. And Kodesh is where the actual breeding of the ceremony of two chiefs bringing their wives together and the breeding of the children for 900 years took place. The male child Haman, called also Zakar Adam, and the Kuzite and the Hindu was 3 years older than the female called Eve. Hawa. She was a Havdite and Patai, and he was 21 and she was 18 years of age when they moved from Kodesh or Kodesh. And the Sabbath was sanctified by the Elohim Anunnaki, and we keep that day Kodesh holy by reading from the holy tablets as a form of Zakar, Adam, remembrance. And the Elohim Enki blessed the 7th day and declared it Kodesh holy because in it he desolate from all of his duties which the Elohim Anunnaki had procreated and also done. Alright, so again, that right there was the end of that chapter. So again, that is a good place to stop for now. Alright, so you are encouraged so much so to check this out and read for yourself. This is the treasure, right? Getting to know what truly happened. Alright, so again, this is just for you, and if you are interested, it's on the channel. Alright, so again, family, I want y'all all to know that you are loved beyond this world, and it begin to spread that love one to another. Be the peace that you seek. Release our master teacher, Dr. Malachi Zero L. Peace, shalom, hashlik, divine love, family, and Badu. And it's all